Hello and thanks for joining us on Nationwide. I am Dennis Adegunloye. To many people in Nigeria, common words observed as being in usage for everyday conversations have come to include equity, fairness and justice, words which ordinarily imply right dealings, good faith and ethical uprightness. Taking a cue from the public's yearnings, President Bola Tinubu in his New Year broadcast promised a fair deal for all Nigerians irrespective of class or creed. Olabode Arewa in this report delves into how public support could help the president in achieving this goal.
One of the recurring issues dominating public discourse in Nigeria's recent history has been a perceived feeling by some sections of the society that they are being allegedly alienated from the nation's commonwealth. Despite assurances and crucial steps taken by past administrations to assuage such feelings in the citizenry by providing them with dividends of democracy, among other tokens of good governance, a sense that government at all levels is purportedly far from the people persists in the minds of some critics. But President Bola Tinubu says his interactions with different segments of the populace has made him to understand their needs with the readiness to build a nation based on fairness, equity and justice.
We will work diligently to make sure every Nigerian feels the impact of their government, the economic aspirations, and the material well-being of the poor, the most vulnerable, and the working people shall not be neglected.
Many believe that this promise under the Renewed Hope agenda could be fulfilled if those entrusted with promoting the concepts of equity and equality before the law effectively play their parts.
Our attitude needs to change before Nigeria can get better. And for there to be discipline, there must be justice and equity. There must be deterrence to crime.
For as long as people have unfettered and unhindered access to the courts, then there is a semblance of equity and justice, meaning where rights are infringed, people know where to run to. So if we must have equity and justice, then the people's confidence in the judiciary, in the law courts, must be rekindled.
Most importantly, political observers believe that most Nigerians have an abiding faith that the nation's future is bright and noble. All it requires for greatness to be unveiled is a collaboration by all towards reaching this goal of making Nigeria great again. Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
The Supreme Court has formulated some critical issues that will guide its final decision on the Plateau State governorship election dispute. The five-man panel of justices led by Justice John Okoro stated this after the adumbration of counsel in the appeal filed by Governor Caleb Mutfwang seeking to upturn the Court of Appeal's judgment that gave his challenger victory, Nentawe Goshwe, of the People's All Progressives Congress rather. Here again is Olabode Arewa.
Following the Court of Appeal judgment of 19th November 2023, upholding the appeal of Nentawe Goshwe of the All Progressives Congress, saying that he won the Plateau State governorship election, Governor Caleb Mutfwang of the People's Democratic Party approached the Apex Court to overturn the judgment. The governor's appellant said he was validly sponsored and nominated through a party congress by his party, the PDP. His legal team, headed by Kanu Agabi, senior advocate of Nigeria, argued that, contrary to the APC's claims, his party, the PDP, complied with the court order directing it to conduct fresh congresses in order to nominate candidates for various elected positions. Nentawe Goshwe and his party, the APC, are contending the validity of Governor Mutfwang to even appear on the ballot in the March 2023 governorship election. The panel of justices of the Apex Court observed the issue of party nomination and sponsorship for elective office and the issue of whether there was compliance with the orders of courts in this instance as live issues for determination. INEC, who filed the second appeal in the matter, withdrew the appeal before the court and it was accordingly struck out.
The issue before that we brought before this court is whether there was compliance with the order of the Court of Appeal of 28th of October 2022.
There's nothing like lack of structure. And then also you'll also find that the Congress they said never held is actually a subject matter that no court can deal with. You also had it in court.
The Apex Court has reserved judgment in the matter to a future date. In Abuja, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
In the meantime, the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory has reserved judgment on a preliminary objection filed by Senator Ita Enang against a defamatory suit instituted against him by the former governor of Akwa Ibom State, Udom Emmanuel. Justice Olukayode Adeni, after entertaining arguments from counsel to the defendant, Mba Ukweni, SAN, challenging the competence of the suit and the jurisdiction of the court to adjudicate on the matter, as well as counter-arguments by the counsel to the claimant, Charles Mekunye, SAN, adjourned the matter to the 5th of March 2023 for ruling on the preliminary objection.
Publication is fundamental in libel suits. No single person said, I read that publication, not even one person. And we said, being fundamental, if there is no publication, there is no libel. So those are among the several issues we have contested in our preliminary objection.
The former governor had, through his counsel, Ekerete Udo, alleged that Senator Enang, a former senior special assistant to former President Muhammadu Buhari on Niger Delta affairs, allegedly defamed his character in 2018 while he was serving as the governor of Akwa Ibom State. Now, over the years, the federal government has made a huge investment towards the administration of free vaccines to children, and recently also to women, to protect them against infectious killer diseases, to reduce morbidity and mortality rates. Administering these free vaccines in Kebbi State, however, is not an easy task. Hassana Abubakar Koko in this report looks at the misconceptions of some parents about vaccines, leading to its rejection in Kebbi State.
Research has indicated that immunization against common childhood diseases is an important strategy critical in reducing global child morbidity and mortality. So it is not out of place for any government seeking to keep its population healthy to administer free vaccines once it has been certified. However, many homes in Kebbi, especially at the rural areas, have rejected these vaccines at one point in time or the other. This was attributed to lack of knowledge and adequate sensitization. So in collaboration with stakeholders home and abroad, early sensitization was introduced, but this made only marginal improvements. Eventually, incentives was introduced to encourage more children and women to benefit from these free vaccines. Yet, the stumbling blocks have not been completely brought down.
Non-compliance. No compliance is that some, they have a religion belief, some political differences. Because immunization is prevention, so they say anything prevention they don't want. We should allow the sickness come first before we attend to them.
I went around many of the immunization centers in the state and discovered that vaccines were readily available, but only a few turned out.
Never miss immunization, in fact, because I know the importance of it. It's very important.
How best we can address these challenges. One of the strategies we come up with is that we are looking at engaging the traditional rulers.
From his experience, he is of the opinion that more hands need to be put on deck to tackle misconceptions about the vaccines. Hassana Abubakar Koko, NTA News.
And Hassana is on standby now in Benin Kebbi to tell us more about her findings. Hassana, can you update us on efforts made so far by the government in providing vaccines to fight common killer diseases, especially among children and women?
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us in Benin Kebbi. The government has made a tremendous effort to see that these vaccines have reached women and children, in the sense that the initiation of this 1,000 Naira incentive to encourage mothers to take their children for vaccination. Apart from that, there is also the issue of sensitization, where the government made effort to sensitize the public, both at the state and local government level, to see that this issue of vaccine something it has reached a wider coverage. So the government has also made another effort to see that the vaccines are taken to the doorsteps of the community. So it has been a tremendous effort indeed by government.
Okay, Hassana, you mentioned in your report the issue of misconceptions on the part of some residents with regards to vaccine administration. Just tell us some more about these misconceptions from the people there.
Okay, yes, there are misconceptions amongst people because most of the community, they usually say it will reduce the population, therefore they would not agree to be part of the vaccine something. So it's this issue of reducing population that the vaccine has an infertility substance in it, and this issue that it is not good for their health. And another issue is that there is a community in one of the local government area where I visited in the course of my findings that that community totally rejected vaccine because there is no single child in that community that has ever received a single dose of vaccine. So this issue of rejecting vaccine by community members is indicating that they don't want to be part of the people that are benefiting from the vaccine.
And Hassana, do you think the people there understand the importance, the essence of vaccination for improved women and children's health? What are your observations regarding that?
I don't really think these people understand the importance of this vaccine, because if they do, they will not reject it. So they don't understand the importance of it.
All right, Hassana, many thanks for giving us the background on the issue there, and we certainly hope that things will improve in terms of their understanding and appreciation of the importance of vaccines. Thank you. Now, the suspended Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, has reported at the headquarters of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in Abuja for questioning. A source at the commission discloses that the suspended minister arrived at about 11 a.m. Tuesday following the presidential directives that a full investigation should be conducted over the minister's alleged involvements in the diversion of funds to the tune of more than 500 million naira. The minister was suspended following public outcry that followed the alleged fraud. Now, Minister of State, Labour and Employment, Nkeruka Onyejiọcha, is of the view that every sector of the country, including education, must move on the same page to achieve the current administration's renewed hope agenda. She made the point during a closed-door meeting with leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, in Abuja. The engagement is part of efforts to avert industrial disputes in academic cycles and to forge a way forward for smooth academic sessions in Nigeria this year and beyond, while craving the indulgence of the leadership of the union led by its president, Comrade Emmanuel Osodike, to allow the ministry to know all the problems of the union. The minister extended an open invitation for dialogue and complete transparency. Emphasizing the critical role of education in the nation's future, Onyejiọcha said President Bola Tinubu's administration is prioritizing education as key pillar of development. She referred to the recent student loan approval as a stepping stone. You're watching the news on Nationwide. We'll take a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. President Bola Tinubu has directed cost-cutting measures on official travels affecting his office, that of the Vice President Kashim Shettima, and the office of the First Lady Oluremi Tinubu. Now it's the second week of 2024 and hopes are rising for a more fruitful year. Port Harcourt residents say they are poised to get the best out of the year, especially as the federal government has pledged commitment to tackling economic challenges that will improve people's livelihoods. Chidiebere Onya, who spoke to some of them, has details.
Hopes are high for possible respite this year 2024 as majority of the citizenry look up to the government to ameliorate their sufferings.
For lives of woman capacity, woman development and security and education and health, I believe that Nigerians will be happy seeing these things happening.
Corporate governance will put food on the table of the people. What the people need is good standard of living. So if they can give us good governance, I think that's all about governance.
Roads rehabilitation, job creation, and the protection of the rights of women and children are also in the front burner.
This present government should give more attention to youths, give them more opportunities to be part of the governance.
The promises contained in President Tinubu's 2024 New Year message to Nigerians, respondents say, is a beacon of hope as the people await a positive turnaround in the fortunes of the nation's economy. In Port Harcourt, Chidiebere Onya, NTA News.
And joining me from Port Harcourt is Kingsley Amajiri to give us more insights on expectations of Nigerians for a more prosperous and fruitful year. Hello Kingsley, what are the resolutions of Port Harcourt residents over there?
Come to Port Harcourt, of course, from that background report you saw and our interactions with the people and residents of Port Harcourt, the Nigerians are very, very hopeful and optimistic that the year 2024 will offer them yet another opportunity to rekindle hope and to prosper at a time that the government has come up with a number of policies targeted at rejigging the economy, policies targeted at creating the right opportunity and platform for Nigerians to explore the resources and opportunities and pursue their visions and dreams. And from my interaction from residents and Nigerians alike, stakeholders from all walks of life from the Port Harcourt, there is this optimism and patriotism on the part of the citizen to support the government. And that spirit of patriotism and commitment, of course, you cannot rule it out from the religious inclinations of the people. From when you draw from the religious inscription that the people should obey secular authorities, Nigerians on this part of the country are willing to be submissive and support the current administration to actualize set objectives. This, of course, it will not also take it away from the fact that against all odds, the challenges the nation has gone through, the people have renewed their hope, drawing from the 2024 budget, which is captured as budget of renewed hope. There is absolute hope from the people of Nigerians to wait on this government to implement these policies and drive the programs to economic prosperity and development of the nation.
All right, Kingsley, certainly very good to hear that there's a lot of optimism going there in Port Harcourt, and certainly we hope that 2024 will play out to be a much more positive year for Port Harcourt residents and the rest of the nation. Many thanks for that update. All right, in other news, the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, has charged security personnel to sustain the security vigilance of the maritime domain to ensure an increase in the country's crude oil production this year. The Chief of Naval Staff gave the charge while on a working visit to the Central Naval Command Bielsa State. Timinipre Ohia was there and now reports.
It's the first working visit of the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala,
to the Central Naval Command to appraise the working capacity of naval officers on their statutory duties of protecting the nation's territorial waters. And since this is also a new year, the Chief of Naval Staff reminded naval personnel that the Central Naval Command is at the home of critical oil and gas facilities, and so encourages personnel at the Joint Task Force Operation Delta Safe South-South not to relent on their surveillance of the critical infrastructure.
I assure you today, sir, that all efforts continue to be in place to attain our mandate, in addition to the other activities of destruction of illegal refining sites, pirate camps.
The naval chief, who later visited the headquarters of Central Naval Command, Agudama APA Yenogwa, commended officers and men for achieving its mandate, evident in the improved crude oil production in the past 6 months, and urged them to sustain the tempo.
Over the past 6 months, there has been a continuous increase in the nation's oil production, to the extent that we are talking about 1.7 million as of today. So this is what we have been doing. We are also going to continue to do more.
Since the establishment, the Central Naval Command of the Nigerian Navy, Yenogwa, has not relented in its mandate of curbing crude oil theft, pipeline vandalism, illegal bunkering, sea piracy, and stemming other forms of maritime crimes in the Niger Delta region. In Yenogwa, Timinipri, Ohia, NTA News.
With a few days to the January 15th commemoration of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, the national chairman of the Nigerian Legion, Major General Abdulmalik Jibril, has urged Nigerians not to forget the sacrifices made by members of the Nigerian Armed Forces in keeping peace in the nation. While briefing newsmen in Abuja, Major General Jibril charged citizens to desist from activities that could lead to disunity or unrest in the country.
Why should the general public easily forget these sacrifices? This emblem that you see that we urge people to donate and wear is just the little one can do to show appreciation and sympathy. And it is an encouragement for our sons and daughters that are still out there, that even when they are not there, they are not going to be forgotten.
Major General Jibril acknowledged that funding remains a major problem in handling the welfare of Nigerian veterans and families of fallen heroes, and pleaded with the government to issue the takeoff grants for the Legion.
The Nigerian Legion has not even gotten the takeoff grant that is necessary for any organization that is established by government to see to its fruition, to create office environment. The federal government should kindly oblige the provision of that and include the Nigerian Legion under the budgetary allocation annually, so that we can be able to impact on the lives of the dependent of the fallen heroes.
Major General Abdulmalik Jibril, the national chairman of the Nigerian Legion. Let's now head over to Lagos and join Adiola. Hello Adiola, it's over to you.
Dennis, welcome to Lagos. In continuation of repairs on the Third Mainland Bridge, the inbound and outward island sections of the bridge has been closed to traffic for the next 8 weeks by the Federal Ministry of Works. Federal Controller of Works, Engineer Olukorede Kisha, during the formal closure of the bridge, said diversions have been created for motorists plying the route.
After completion of repair works on the Adekunle section of the Third Mainland Bridge, repairs on the main deck of the Third Mainland Bridge has begun, with the closure of the bridge for the next 8 weeks for comprehensive repairs. The Federal Comptroller of Works, Lagos, Olukorede Kisha, says the scope will cover replacement of missing guardrails, parapets, complete replacement of asphalts, and other key areas.
We're going to block this place. Motorists can no longer go to the island via Third Mainland, but they can go through Anthony Ikorodu Road, through Kata Bridge or Eko Bridge. But by tomorrow, in the morning, they will not be able to come through Third Mainland Bridge because we will have blocked it by 12 a.m.
During the period of work, the Federal Ministry will collaborate with the Federal Road Safety Corps, Police, Ministry of Transportation, and other agencies to manage the diversion of traffic.
Not only to manage traffic, but to ensure that no form of robbery or attack to motorists. We are going to secure the road effectively. There's going to be a kind of spillover effect of this congestion occasioned by this diversion within the main city. So we'll be everywhere. We'll ensure that we'll make it as less stressful as possible.
Members of the public are urged to adhere to safety guidelines during the period to ensure speedy completion to meet the project's timeline. In Lagos, Lane Lenake, NTA News.
Increased public awareness on safety of lives and property has been attributed to decline in the rate of fatalities associated with road crashes, especially during the festive period. Diana Ajale takes a look at safety on the road before, during and after the Yuletide in Lagos.
There has always been increase in vehicular movement and passengers during the Yuletide. This common phenomenon usually results in road traffic crashes. The FRSC said in recent time, the figures have drastically reduced as road users express their views on the current development.
This time around, it seems as if people are mindful of their life. We are coming. It was glorious. There were less casualties and we all enjoyed the Christmas.
From Ishagam, reach Ijebu, that road no good. Na bad road, all that amount of way they come. From there, na one way, not just the manager. No wala for us there for that road.
Data about the Federal Road Safety Corps, Lagos, shows that between the 1st of December and the 31st of this month, 33 road traffic crashes were recorded, out of which only one case was fatal.
We have started, in tandem with the United Nations Decade of Action, we have the aspiration of ensuring that we reduce the total fatality by 50% by 2030. We have a FSLD, that is failure to install a speed limiting device, that we book people for. And when they book you, we ensure that you install before you leave the premises. That we have been doing. Again, last December, the national headquarters deployed so many radar guns to ensure that we use it to arrest people that are moving above recommended speed limits.
According to the Federal Road Safety Corps, Lagos State Command, a total of 452 road traffic crashes were recorded in 2023, out of which 139 persons were killed, while 67,641 persons were arrested for different traffic infractions. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
And those are the reports from Lagos. Nationwide continues in Kaduna with Salamatu.
Thank you, Adeola, and welcome to Kaduna. Good evening. More than 15 million Nigerians will benefit from the federal government's numerous intervention programs aimed at lifting them from poverty. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Community Engagement, Northwest, Abdullahi Tanko Yakasai, disclosed this during the distribution of clothes and food items to orphans and vulnerable women in Kano State. Awal Salisu has the story.
Since the removal of fuel subsidy in Nigeria, federal government has come up with various intervention programs to support the people, especially vulnerable members of the country. The recent in Kano is the distribution of food items and jackets to orphans and vulnerable women. Umar Aminu is among the 500 people that benefited from the gesture.
I am happy and I wish him all the best, and I pray that may Almighty Allah guide him.
We thank him for the gesture. May Almighty Allah guide him.
Senior Special Assistant to Mr. President on Community Engagement Northwest, Abdullahi Tanko Yakasai, who initiated the program, said similar interventions will go around the 44 local government areas of Kano State and Northwest Geopolitical Zone.
The hope of the president is to see to it that we've taken our children out of poverty. We've taken out the teeming youth out of the poverty. One of his cardinal points, one of his top agenda is wealth creation. And without job creation, there won't be wealth generation.
Iyakase disclosed that 50 million Nigerians will soon benefit from the federal government's various intervention programs. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
Moving away from Kano, Jigawa State Government has received 4 World Bank Award for the execution of people-oriented projects and sustainable economic development in the state. Muhammad Musa Askira reports that the award were presented by the World Bank supported agroclimatic resilience in semi-arid landscape team in Abuja.
The Jigawa State AgriSalt team, led by the Commissioner for Environment, Dr. Noura Ibrahim, who received the awards on behalf of the Jigawa State government, presented them to Governor Umar Namadi. The awards indicated that Jigawa has come second in 2 areas, while it also emerged first in 2 other areas, as announced by the Commissioner for Environment.
They came second in terms of project implementation, and also they came second in the formation of community interest groups, that's the CIG in the country. And the Jigawa State team came first in project transparency and integrity, and they also came first in the payment of counterpart funding.
Umar Namadi, while appreciating the gesture of the World Bank team for the recognition of Jigawa State in the areas of good governance and service to humanity, noted that the awards will spur the state government for delivery of dividend of democracy to the people of the state.
AgriSalt is a project that directly benefits the common man, and that is one of our cardinal objectives in Jigawa State. We want to ensure that we have empowered the people at the grassroots, we have provided the means of livelihood for them, and we will also improve their means of livelihood and also their economic status.
This is one in the series of special recognitions and awards which Jigawa State government has been receiving over the years in the areas of human and social development. From Dutse, Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
And that is it on our package from Kaduna. And with more reports on Nationwide, let's rejoin Dennis at Deguloye in our Abuja studio. Good evening.
Thank you, Salamatu. Now the festive season of 2023 is over, and the frenzy enjoyed by business owners in Uyo seems to have simmered, with many counting their prospects and challenges during and after the season. Joy Ubani, who interacted with some buyers and sellers, tells us more.
This plaza is known to be the hub of business in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital. At this arena is where business acumen trade wires for money. The Yuletide is over and daily activities of buying and selling seems to be on the high, especially as pupils and students return to the classroom. After the festive season, some business owners are still witnessing patronage from buyers.
People are trying small, they are buying.
Everything they go well. Customer they come, people they buy.
Some Nigerians lament the low cash flow in circulation during and after the festive period and the hardship faced on daily transaction.
No cash now, a person come buy market, if you can feel like men do transfer. You go do transfer to see the network. You see the money go day hard.
Some are shouting that there's no money. That is the one that I have that are using to buy some things. And school have resumed. So some are paying their children's school fees.
For some buyers, it was time to make large purchases after the festive period.
I don't do Christmas and New Year. Just anytime I have money, I can get what I want.
I'm buying like this. I've already budgeted it since. So when I was busy spending during X months, I kept it in one side.
As the year 2024 begins, buyers and sellers in Uyo are optimistic that things will get better. Joy Ubani, NTA News.
Bit on education, principals and school administrators are henceforth to be held responsible for low turnout of students in public schools. FCTA Secretary for Education Danlami Hayo stated this when he led the management team to inspect some schools after resumption. Onoze Yakubu reports.
Impressed with the turnout of students in schools visited, the Secretary for Education Danlami Hayo sounds a note of warning to school administrators on low turnout of students in their schools, saying that the development translates to failure on the part of the school authority.
When we discover a school whereby teachers are ready while the students are not present, or the attendance of the students are very poor, definitely we are going to change the administration of the school. We are going to bring someone capable that can lead.
The Secretary further discloses that the sum of 13.1 billion naira has been earmarked for renovations, construction and provision of furniture for schools in the FCT. These steps, he adds, is a good omen for the education system in the territory.
When all this data, all the necessary information gathered, we are going to transfer to the Honorable Minister. And I'm sure one of his key priority areas is education. And this education is going to be given special consideration. That's why in 2023 budget, he approved 13.1 billion naira to spend on renovation, construction, and provision of chairs or furniture for schools in FCT. So this is encouraged.
The schools visited are Government Science and Technical College Area 3, Government Secondary School Tudunwada, and Junior Secondary School Wuse Zone 6, as well as Gliston Group of Schools in Jahi, Abuja. Onoze Yakubu, NTA News.
Let's now join Chinenye in our Enugu Network Center. Hello, Chinenye.
Thank you so much, Dennis. Welcome to Enugu. The Nigerian Army has pledged its commitment to combat the threat of insecurity and sustain peace and stability in the country. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Laboja, made this known when he paid a courtesy visit on the Enugu State Governor, Dr. Peter Mba. Chika Ugu reports.
The Chief of Army Staff, who is on an operational visit to Enugu State, said he has visited various formations and units in order to address deployment of troops. This, he said, will fix challenges facing the Nigerian Army and improve their operational effectiveness. Commending the governor for his support to the Army in the fight against insecurity in the southeast region, Lieutenant General Labaja pointed out that the Army in the state has identified some dark areas in dire need of security and will move swiftly to address them.
Through your support, the troops have been able to show presence in population centers and conduct patrols and other operations to create stability and a peaceful environment.
Not relenting in fulfilling his campaign promises to grow the state's economy to an enviable height and eradicate poverty, Governor Peter Mba identified insecurity as one major challenge that poses great threat to the growth and development of any nation. Reason he is committed to working with the Nigerian Army to sustain peace in the state and realize his vision of growing the economy.
I must also, at this point, recognize and acknowledge the tireless efforts and commitment of you and your men have invested in securing Enugu State. Today in Enugu State, we can proudly say that we are on the path of fulfilling those promises we made to our people.
The governor also appealed to the Chief of Army Staff to improve operation bases in some areas in the hinterland in order to address fragilities experienced in those parts of the state. In Enugu, Chika Ugu, NTA News.
The Anambra State Governor, Professor Charles Soludo, has inaugurated several kilometers of roads in Abatete, Umueri, and Ozubulu, with a charge on individuals to continue to support government in infrastructure development. Ndem Kalu reports.
Not how much you have, it is the heart you have to give that matters. Because in the end, what matters is what we leave behind. And this is a legacy today that we have come to celebrate. To the glory of God, I cut this tape and commissioned this road.
The roads include 11 kilometers roads in Abatete, 500-meter road in Umweri, and 2.27 kilometers road in Ozoblo, built by the people of the areas to support the efforts of the state government at opening, constructing, and rehabilitation of roads in the state. The governor, who applauded the community's private sector initiatives, encouraged wealthy individuals to invest in their communities by building roads, renovating schools, and supporting local initiatives, while highlighting the importance of public-private community partnerships in infrastructure development. He promised to complete all ongoing road projects across the state, especially in Anambra West, Onitsha South, and Oka North Council areas. The governor expressed optimism that year 2024, which is a year of changing the gears, will witness unprecedented progress and development. People of the areas pledged their continuous support for the governor's achievements in the state. From Ozobolo, Ndem Kalo, NTA News.
And those are the stories from Enugu. Do not forget that you can follow this news broadcast live on our website at www.nta.ng/live and on all our social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. We'll take...
Glad that you could stay, and welcome to Makudi. Governor Hyacinth Alia of Benue State has dedicated his recent Supreme Court victory to the good people of the state, describing it as victory for growth and development, as well as assurance of more dividends of democracy. The governor made the remark at the IBB Square, Makudi, where a crowd of supporters welcomed him and the deputy back to the state. Elias Itiav has more.
The governor, while addressing the people over the Supreme Court judgment which puts an end to election litigations, pledged his unwavering commitment to continue to deliver good governance anchored on transparency, accountability, infrastructural development, and progress.
We had to come back tonight to meet with you, to let you know the good news from our very lips. And to thank you again, to let you understand that it is the beginning of the greater things coming from Benue.
He stated that the judgment is an attestation to the fact that the judiciary remains the hope of ordinary Nigerians, reiterating that the time of politicking is over. He therefore called on everyone to join hands with his administration in order to realize the renewed hope. The governor, who warned against people taking laws into their hands, urged aggrieved persons to channel their grievances appropriately. In Makudi, Elias, ATF, NTA News.
And that report does it from Makudi. Dennis, is back to you.
Thanks very much, Charles. Now let's bring you some more details on Mr. President's announcements on some cost-cutting measures that are with immediate effect, and they are on local and international travels of federal government officials. The directive covers his office and that of the First Lady, Vice President, and his wife. Presidential Advisor on Media and Publicity, Judy Ngolale, at a briefing at the State House, reveals that the new directive, which is to effectively cut recurring expenditure and financial wastage by drastically reducing the number of officials on such travels, will also affect offices of ministers and agencies under them.
On international trips, the President has directed that no more than 20 individuals be allowed to travel with him. That number will be cut down to 5 in the case of the First Lady. the number in the entourage on official international trips for the Vice President will be cut to 5. On the wife of the Vice President is also 5. In terms of local trips, the President has approved a new limit of 25 members of staff to accompany him on domestic trips within the country. The office of the First Lady is now limited to 10 staff members. The Vice President will be limited to 15 members of staff, while his wife will be limited to 10 members of staff on official trips within the country, the same as the First Lady. The President is insistent that the prudence of government officials must reflect the prudence and efficiency of the Nigerian citizens.
By this measure, the President has also decided not to travel with large security details from Abuja to other parts of the country anymore.
Due to the directive of the President that the security outfits within states, whether it be police, DSS, or branches of the military, will frontline his protective detail when he travels. I believe we do not need to convince the officers of the federal government of Nigeria of the seriousness of the President with respect to how he will implement his directives. If there is anybody who feels that the directive of the President is not binding on them, who feels that the President will not uphold this directive in implementation and seeks to test it, they would do so at their own peril.
Ajuri Ngalalis, media advisor to Mr. President. That concludes Nationwide. Many thanks for watching. I am Dennis Adegunloye.